Oh, sure, in the beginning when we were just married, everything was rosy and we had no problems. I was really quite shy. She began to know me then. Well, when you begin to go out with someone, you're almost all day right next to each other. But you don't really get to know each other because when you go steady with someone, you only show your good side.
He's sort of quiet and doesn't talk much, but I'm the opposite. I am very talkative. I am always talking about something. I love to dance, and he just stares at me with a face that says, "You are just crazy. I mean, what's up with you?" And I'd say, that's me. That's the way I am. Just the same, I am quite cosy with him. I look after him, and he often just sits there watching TV, and his mind is far away. Well, that makes me mad sometimes. I worked as a maid in a private home from Monday through Saturday, from 9 in the morning till about, 7, sometimes 8, 9, 10, sometimes even 11 at night. I don't have any fixed hours. I think this had an impact because I began to lose contact with my home.
Well, the thing is, there's two problems in one right there. You see, I was trying to earn money and Carmen was always away from home. When I returned home, everything was always in a total mess. And I'm not the guy to go around doing house cleaning and all that, so I'd get up in the mornings and go straight to get my horse. And, well, I started to meet up with other guys in a group and go to parties and, well, there are women at parties and that's what really triggered the whole thing.
He knows that I've never been a jealous woman, but I became worried that he might be going around with other women. Anyway, one day, a little girl came round to the house to tell me that my husband was going out with other women, that Carlos had another girl elsewhere. Well, since I wasn't prepared to put up with that sort of stuff, I went straight out to talk to my in-laws. I asked my mother and father-in-law to tell him that he had 30 days to get out of the house since I simply was not going to put up with that. I mean, I'd already put up with a lot and tolerated his parties, his going to the hills, the horses, and all of that. But this...
Well, yeah, I mean, I felt quite bad about the whole thing. But I also have my pride, so, well, I said to myself, okay, she kicked me out, fine, no problem. But I must admit I was hurt, though. So what's the big deal, I said to myself. The problem is, when I was separated, I had a lot of time to myself, to be alone. I wasn't ready to go back home, not yet anyway, until one day, and thank God, my good old girl went over to pick me up with the excuse that I had to go and see the girls. And then we began to talk to each other again. Inside the marriage, such details as how to address your partner, well, I think they do matter. For instance, I can say, "Hey, Carmen," or instead call her, more kindly, "Carmen, dear," showing more affection. You see, all these things feed our love, strengthen the marriage, and we now talk a lot more. I hug her more than I used to.
You see, it's easy to say, I love my husband. But if I don't say it to him, how's he going to know? It's like a flower that needs watering to grow. See, love's like that.
Well, I see Carmen with different eyes now, with more affection. I try to smile more when I'm around the house, to share more with her, to let her be more with me, to love her. We now even embrace when we walk out or walk around hand in hand, and this has been very much uphill for me. Because, really, these things didn't come naturally to me, but I believe they're fundamental, Just one "I love you" may just change the entire situation. And in fact, I now feel good when I say it. And Carmen is surprised when I kiss her because I used not to do it, but I do now. I even try to tidy up my own personal appearance a bit so that she'll like me and so I can attract her. But all of this I've learned of late because, well, frankly, I wasn't born like that.
love must be properly nourished. You see, I grew up with my grandmother until I was about 7. I knew nothing about how babies came into this world. I mean, I just assumed it had to do with storks. When I compare that with Carlos's world, see, he understood quite clearly how babies are born, how Dad's seed gets into his mum's. And I don't remember my mother talking to me about sex at all.
Well, for my part, I never approached my dad simply because I was embarrassed. It was only from overhearing adults when they were talking together that I learned what I know. I used to prick up my ears and listen and then ask myself all sorts of questions as to how was this or the other thing. So I looked for answers in books. I never asked anyone about the female body or how babies came into the world. I learned everything in the worst way possible, I think, on the street. It's not the same as having your parents talk to you about sex.
I'm convinced that sex plays a key role in marriage. Honestly, I don't think I'm wrong in this because, well, for example, if I don't make my husband happy sexually, obviously, I'm giving him the go-ahead to try and find it elsewhere. And the same thing happens in reverse with him to me. Well, this isn't our case, since we've talked about it a lot between ourselves, and sexually we perform 100%.
The other thing is that nobody is born knowing everything. You see, I'm quite lucky, actually, that at my place of work I get to read a lot. Whatever falls in my hands, I read. Maybe it's a report about the sexuality of women and how they value emotions as part of the physical side. And so then I can begin to combine both things, the physical and the emotional. And as a result, we've a much better all-round relationship. Because whatever I read, I apply, and things just work out.
I was under the impression that certain things could not be done and were considered out of bounds because of a church taboo. But when my husband and I went to the marriage preparation courses, and fortunately the course was given by a priest, it became crystal clear to me that all was pure and clean between husband and wife, that one may enjoy, provided one always shows respect for the other person, for the partner. Whatever you do with your husband in bed, so long as you do it with love and respect, is approved by the Lord. And those are not my words. These are the words of the priest that gave us the first marriage course before we got married.
Yeah, our mutual agreement in this matter is good. There are no taboos.
But sometimes one senses when things are working out well or when not. When people have spent so much time together, like we've done. We dated each other for about 5 years, and we've now been married for 7 years. I know perfectly well what he enjoys and what he dislikes. And it's kind of obvious within marriage, and he too should know when I enjoy something or don't like it.
The good thing is that we still have that chemistry that makes us tick as a couple.
It's important always to be prepared and available, to give myself from the heart, to put feelings into what I'm doing with my husband and not just go along with it because he wants me to get into bed with him. I've always told him that I'd hate to disguise what I feel. I'd rather tell him, no, Carlos, this is not my day.
One must know whom one is marrying. I mean, this is absolutely crucial. You see, I think that as a person, before getting married, you must think things through clearly. Because, marriage isn't easy. It's being tested every day. It's a very difficult enterprise. One has to be willing to explore every avenue in order to save one's marriage.
We've been married now for 7 years, and, well, many marriages break down even after 20 years. Couples separate for the kind of things we see in real life, for reasons TV shows us, the radio, things we hear. I get scared. Well, that's why I try. And I'll always try, to stay close to my husband, whatever happens. If At any time I begin to want to be with another person, may God help me and give me the strength to say, Carlos, something is happening to me, something is forcing me to look over the other side of the fence. And I just hope that he'll be able to understand and help me so that it doesn't turn into something overwhelming. And, if he at any time becomes interested in another woman, I beg him to tell me so that we can talk about it. Because, you see, together we will find a solution to the problem and not find ourselves in some sad situation of saying, you know what, you take her and I keep the girls. Since we decided to marry, nobody forced us to. We also decided to have our kids. They didn't ask to come this far.
Well, I'm not that scared about it, but it does keep me on the alert. For me, it means being aware of what's going on in my own marriage in order to understand the point of view of the other person. That's why it's so important to communicate, because if I'm wrong about something, she'll always let me know, since there is trust between us. And, well, that's basic, isn't it? I really think that we're going to live together easily, God willing, until we die.
I used to say, when Carlos left the house, that if Carlos comes back, it's not because of the girls that he should come back. I said to myself, if he comes back, let it be for me, because he loves me and misses me. The girls he has to miss because they're his daughters, but if he comes back, I want it to be because he misses me, just as he misses our kids. I want to remain with him because I am in love with him.
Ya, Chirita, me voy. Ya.